Manchester United are bang average. Their rivals Manchester City are a step ahead, but embroiled in a financial scandal. No, I'm not talking about the present day. I'm talking about 120 years ago. In 1904, Manchester City's star-studded team lifted the FA Cup and were challenging for the First Division title. 1 year later, the wheels fell off in spectacular fashion. As an illegal payment scandal rocked Man City, and they were forced to auction off their entire first-team squad, Manchester United manager, Ernest Mangnall, had a cunning plan. What if he were to simply buy Man City's star players and have them win the league for United? This is exactly what he did. In no uncertain terms, he swooped in ahead of the auction and tapped up 4 of their star men. The following season, Mangnall and Manchester United not only won the league title, they won it by a country mile. Here are the stories of Manchester United's first title-winning team of 1908, and what happened to them. Goalkeeper: Harry Moger. Harry Moger was the ever-present goalkeeper that year. An imposing figure, standing 6'3", he towered over many of the forwards of the era. He stood out not just physically but in how he commanded his area, plucking the ball from the air with an ease that terrified strikers. A pure shot stopper in an era where goalkeepers often functioned more like modern sweepers, he played every league match that season, keeping 9 clean sheets. His standout moment came in the FA Cup the following year where, suffering from a bad shoulder injury, he won the trophy essentially with one arm. After his playing days ended in 1912, Moger became a commission agent in Manchester, choosing the quiet life. He died in a nursing home in June 1927 at the young age of 48. His name is rarely mentioned amongst the great goalkeepers that followed him at United, but he helped to get the ball rolling on their success. Full-back: George Stacey. Yorkshireman George Stacey was quiet and unassuming. People called him Silent Stacey because he simply didn't seek the spotlight and got on with his job. He'd been a coal miner before football, and he'd signed for United for just £200 as an understudy, but his consistency made him indispensable. He played 18 league matches that season and would eventually captain the club. He ended his playing days as a league champion and FA Cup winner. Then, he simply went back down the mines. Back to the life he'd left behind. Incredibly, despite a hard life, he lived to be 91, outlasting nearly every one of his contemporaries. He lived long enough to see United lift the European Cup in 1968. He died in 1972, one of the last surviving links to that championship team. Full-back: Herbert Burgess. England star Herbert Burgess couldn't have been more different to his partner. Where Stacey was modest, Burgess was a technically gifted wizard of a defender. Widely regarded as the best defender in the country, he was one of the Thor Manchester City exiles, and his style of play set him apart. He wasn't just a solid defender, he had skill and composure on the ball. Sadly, injury cut his career short. A knee problem forced his early retirement from the top flight in 1910. Afterwards, Burgess became a pioneer of English football coaching abroad, coaching in Hungary, Milan, and Rome. When he came back to England, he left football and ran a pub in Manchester. He died in 1954 at 71. Now for the half-back line. Manchester United's original Holy Trinity. Charlie Roberts. Darlington-born Charlie Roberts was the captain of this great side. Known as the Ghost for his uncanny ability to anticipate play and intercept the ball, he was one of the most famous players of his era, and one of the most infamous. The FA had mandated that football shorts should be knee-length, for reasons. Roberts wore his mid-thigh, claiming it was for mobility. A small thing, but it showed his defiance in the face of petty bureaucracy. Beyond the pitch, Roberts was also sticking it to the man. He co-founded the Players' Union, fought for the rights of working football as he led a players' strike in 1909, landing him in hot water with the FA. When his playing days ended, he and the other 2 members of the Holy Trinity went into business together. They opened a tobacconist shop on High Street in Manchester, dealing in brands with names like the Lucky Star and Roberts Special Mix. The shop became a hangout for fans who wanted to see these legends in person. Roberts died in 1939 at 56, following complications from a cranial operation. His funeral was attended by thousands of adoring fans. Dick Duckworth. Hardman Dick Duckworth played alongside Roberts in the engine room of this great team. Born in Manchester, a local lad. Though not the biggest in stature, like many United greats through the ages, he was tenacious and dependable. Like Stacey, Duckworth remained with United for an unusually long time, 12 years, becoming a league and cup winner and watching the club move to their famous new ground at Old Trafford in 1910. After football, he joined Roberts in the tobacco business, then became a pub landlord. He lived to age 82 and died in 1965. Alex Bell. Scotsman Alex Bell was the workhorse of the trio. Signed from Ayrshire for £700, a record fee for a half-back at the time, he played alongside Roberts and Duckworth for that championship season. What set him apart was his athleticism. He had the rare ability to overlap the wingers, drift into attacking positions, and recover to break up counter-attacks. He was one of football's first marauding wingbacks. After United, Bell moved to Blackburn, then returned to United as a trainer and coach as well as going into the tobacco business with his teammates. He died in 1934 at age 52. Then came the forwards, brilliant and controversial in equal measure. Right wing. Billy Meredith. Billy Meredith was, quite simply, a football phenomenon. The Wizard of the Welsh, one of the first true global superstars of the sport. In his playing days, he endorsed everything from football boots to wine, so recognizable was his name. Toothpick between his teeth, he'd dance past defenders, mesmerizing the watching crowds. In the 1907-2008 season, he played 37 matches and scored 10 goals. But his story began in controversy. He was the fuse that lit the powder on the keg of Manchester City's illegal payment scheme. He signed for United while still officially serving an FA ban, and allegations of bribery, match-fixing and illegal payments would follow him throughout his career. Nonetheless, his magic and charisma were worth the risk. The other City exiles soon jumped ship, following his lead. What's remarkable about Meredith is that he simply never got old. He played for United until he was 47 years old, then returned to Manchester City for one final match at 49. When he retired, he ran a pub on Stretford Road. He even tried acting. Meredith died penniless in April 1958 at 83, buried in an unmarked grave until 2001 when the PFA and both Manchester clubs finally funded a proper headstone for this true legend of the game. Inside forward. Sandy Turnbull. Where Meredith was the showman, inside forward Sandy Turnbull was the Iron Man. Physically imposing and aggressive, it wasn't just his deadly accurate and unpredictable shooting that terrified his opponents. It was his fist fight in the final game of the 1905 season that triggered the FA investigation into Man City, inadvertently exposing their scandalous practices. In the 1907-2008 season, he played 30 league matches for United and scored 25 goals, finishing joint top scorer. The following season, he scored the only goal in the FA Cup final, United's first cup win. He scored the first ever goal at their new Old Trafford ground in 1910. Then everything went wrong. In 1915, Turnbull was implicated in a match-fixing scandal. A bet on a Liverpool game, something that violated the sport's most fundamental trust, got him banned for life. But there was no time to serve that ban. World War I was raging and Turnbull enlisted in the British Army. On May 3, 1917, during the Battle of Arras, he was wounded in action. He was captured and died of wounds as a prisoner of war. He was 32 years old. His body was never recovered and his name is one of thousands listed on the Arras Memorial. The FA, recognizing his sacrifice, posthumously lifted his lifetime ban in 1919. Inside forward. Jimmy Bannister. Fellow Manchester City exile, Jimmy Bannister, partnered Sandy Turnbull in the inside right position. Whereas Sandy grabbed all the headlines and bagged all the goals, Jimmy Bannister had a more low-profile role. Not a prolific goalscorer, Bannister was an intelligent player who could link up play between the half-backs and the forwards, making his contribution invaluable. After winning the league with United, he moved on to Preston North End before, sadly, the First World War ended his playing career. He passed away in 1953 in his hometown of Leyland. Left wing. George Wall. George Wall was the left winger of that title-winning team, and he couldn't have been more different to his opposite number, Billy Meredith. He was the tireless worker. He played 36 matches that season and scored an incredible 19 goals from the wing. He had what people called the cannonball shot, beating defenders with pace and smashing the ball hard and low into the net. During the run into the 1908 title, he scored a hat-trick against Everton that sealed the championship. Later, World War I interrupted his career. He served in the Black Watch, the Royal Highland Regiment. He survived the war, though, sadly, his brother, Tommy, was killed in action. His football career never recovered. He played a little for Hamilton Academical and Rochdale but left the game and returned to work in the shipbuilding trade. He died in 1962 at 77. Centre forward. Jimmy Turnbull. Jimmy Turnbull, no relation to Sandy, was the team's centre forward. Clinical and physical, the Scot averaged more than a goal every 2 games across his career. In the 1907-2008 season, he played 30 league matches and scored 25 goals, joint top scorer with his namesake, Sandy. He bagged a hat-trick in a 6-0 rout of Chelsea that convinced everyone United were unstoppable. After United, his form dipped. He moved to the Southern League, then home to Scotland. He became a pub landlord, living out his days far from the spotlight. He died in September 1946 at 61. It's worth pointing out that the starting 11 of this team was incredibly consistent. Few other squad players got a lot of playing time that season, but there are a few to mention. Jack Picken. Versatile and rugged forward Jack Picken actually had quite a lengthy United career, making 122 appearances and scoring 45 goals in total. This season, however, due to the sheer consistency of the first 11, he only made 10 appearances and netted once. He is also known for his time at Plymouth Argyle, where he played and coached. Richard Holden. One squad player who did have a decent showing that season was fullback, Dick Holden. A one-club man, Holden had a lengthy career at Manchester United, spanning over 10 years. He played 26 times in the title-winning campaign, splitting playing time with George Stacey to partner Herbert Burgess in defence. After football, he joined the fledgling Royal Flying Corps during the First World War. He passed away, aged 85, in 1971, living to see his beloved Manchester United lift the European Cup. Alex Downie. Scottish halfback Alex Downie made 10 league appearances in the 1907-2008 title-winning season. In a Manchester United career spanning 8 years, he was more of a regular in the early part of the 1900s, making over 150 appearances in total. He later played for Oldham Athletic before retiring from the game. He passed away in 1953, aged 77. Herbert Broomfield. The man who, frustratingly, had the easiest job that season was backup goalkeeper Herbert Broomfield. Such was the consistency of Harry Moger, he only made a handful of appearances. Cheshire-born Broomfield had an off-field impact on the sport, serving as secretary of the Players' Union during the infamous Players' Strike of 1909. The manager. Ernest Mangnall. The man behind this success was Ernest Mangnall, a visionary and a ruthless operator. When he arrived at United in 1903, they were a struggling second division side. He transformed them into champions, not just through sheer ambition, but willingness to bend the rules. He oversaw the design and construction of Old Trafford, insisting on a ground that would dwarf the stadiums of their rivals, worthy of a top team. In all, he guided the team to 2 league titles and an FA Cup. This would prove to be Manchester United's last league title for 40 years. Having achieved all of this, in 1912, he resigned. Not to retire, but, unbelievably, to join rivals Manchester City. His last match in charge was a local derby. Mangnall is the only manager to have managed both Manchester clubs and, like at United, he insisted on a more fitting stadium for Manchester City and saw them move to Main Road. He never quite replicated United's success with the blue half of Manchester. He died in 1932, aged 66, his legacy in Manchester cemented in bricks, mortar and steel. That was the real story of the first Manchester United champions. Not just how they won, but what happened to them after they hung up their boots. If you enjoyed this dive into forgotten football history, please share the video and subscribe to the channel for more stories of good old-fashioned football. See you next time.